Okay, close your eyes. And here is some candy, okay?
Okay.
Don't eat it. Hey, what's up guys? Greetings here from Hungary and welcome back to another comparison video here between the P10, P10 Plus and the brand new Honor 8 Pro. So in this video I want to focus on the cameras because dual cameras are a really big thing in 2017 and many people actually do not know why dual cameras and how the image quality really looks like. So first of all, there are many people right now on social media on Facebook and they ask which phone should I get? Should I get the P10? Should I get the P10 Plus or should I get the Honor 8 Pro? And to be honest, it's really confusing because the price difference between the Honor 8 Pro and the P10 is very small and then there's a huge gap, so €200 to the P10 Plus, and many people don't know why. So first of all, why dual cameras? So Huawei or Honor, so Honor is actually a subsidiary of Huawei, they have one attempt at dual cameras and this is a monochrome and an RGB sensor. So basically you have two sensors in your smartphone. Two sensors equals more light which can get into your smartphone. And also a monochrome sensor is very different to an RGB sensor. Like an RGB sensor catches the light. Then the sensor has to decide, is this red light, blue light, or green light, then it has to mix that, do the post-processing and all that. And the monochrome sensor is basically just catching the intensity of the light, like how bright it is, and then it gets, is it dark or is it bright? So it can save more detail, more information. And what I really like about Huawei is they have a cooperation with Leica and they actually implemented that on the P9 and now we had the Mate 9, now we have the P10 and this really improved. So first of all I was like, hey, this is just another like PR joke, so just put Leica on there and then it sells better. No, this really improves the picture. And the monochrome sensor, as I've told you, with that combined with the RGB sensor, it can catch first of all more light and also it can process it better because it has more information also from the monochrome sensor, and the images, they do really look good. But so what's the difference between all those phones? First of all, the P10 Plus, it's a flagship. It has the dual camera setup and it has 20 megapixel monochrome and I think 12 megapixel RGB. So two sensors, you can also take 20 megapixel RGB photos, so that's no problem, even though the RGB sensor is not 20 megapixels. It also has a Leica branded f1.9 aperture, it's the Sumilux, I hope I pronounced it correctly, I have no idea. And on the P10 we have basically the same sensor setup, but we have an f2.2 aperture and it's the Summerit aperture. So as you can see here, the lenses have different names, but all are also Leica branded. If you have a look at the Honor 8 Pro, then this has dual sensors too, but they are both 12 megapixels. So you have a 12 megapixel monochrome and a 12 megapixel RGB sensor. So the main difference is that the lens of the Honor 8 Pro is not Leica branded. It's an f2.2 aperture, but it has no Leica stamp on there, and also the quality is not that good, but I'll tell you later what that means in terms of image quality. So the P10 has a 2.2 aperture, so it's Leica branded as you can see, and this one here comes from 1.8 aperture, and this is also Leica branded. Regarding the front-facing cameras, huge difference. So we have both Huawei phones Leica branded front-facing cameras, and they are just simply awesome with a 1.9 aperture, while we have a non-Leica branded front-facing camera on the Honor 8 Pro, which has a 2.0 aperture. So sorry guys, there are plenty of ducks and they get me out of concept. Anyway, now I want to talk about the colors. So regarding colors and color reproduction, every manufacturer handles that topic different. And what Huawei does is they make their colors really pop. They oversaturate the colors a little bit so that they look really tasty. Now, as a photographer, I'm not so happy sometimes with that. So, because they do not look natural, usually I also boost my colors in post, so I make them, a little bit oversaturated. That just looks good, and this is what many people love on Instagram. So, wow, look at those colors. But actually, that's just some oversaturation and it doesn't look near like in reality. Anyway, Huawei does it, not too aggressively, but you can definitely see the green tones, the reds, and they look really tasty and actually stronger than in reality. This can also cause problems, like if you take a picture of red flowers sometimes, and the colors, they sometimes really pop and it looks totally weird. Regarding the exposure, also exposure is pretty good on the Huawei phones, but on the Honor 8 Pro I noticed that the phone slightly overexposes sometimes. It's not that bad, but also just something I've noticed. So one big advantage of this phone, of the Honor 8 Pro, because all those three phones can do it, is shooting in RAW. So if there's something wrong with your picture, god damn it, the ducks are just strange here, then you can fix this in post-production very easily. With RAW you just capture everything in the scene, and with higher bits than you actually do with a JPEG. And that means all the information is still stored, my girlfriend just runs away from the ducks, in the picture. And the cool thing is that if you, for instance, have overexposure in your picture, and this is just like a backup feature, if you shoot in RAW, you can bring it down in post without losing details, or with just losing a very slight amount of details. And if I would pick a smartphone in 2017, and I like cameras and smartphones, then I would definitely pick one which can shoot RAW. And all those three phones can shoot RAW, and this is a really huge advantage. All three smartphones have really good dynamic range. So to be honest, this is not going to be a full in-depth review on the camera, like I'm going to check out all the pixels. No, I won't do that, because most of the people also don't do that. And for me, a good picture is actually more than just a big amount of pixels. It should tell a story. And if you have plenty of light, all those smartphones, it doesn't matter if you have the Honor 8 Pro or the P10, they produce amazing looking pictures, and there is not a huge difference if there's plenty of light. Regarding the details, I tried to check it out. Now, the only thing I've noticed is that the P10 Plus and the P10, they have kind of a warmer white balance and a little bit more detail. So if you have plenty of light, there's really not a huge difference between the Honor 8 Pro and the P10 series. However, this changes a lot when it comes to low light photography. But as I've told you before, all three smartphones feature a great dynamic range, and this is something I really love about Huawei and Honor, because the dual setup with the monochrome sensor delivers a nice dynamic range. Now, regarding the autofocus, I didn't notice a real difference between the phones, but I did notice a difference to other phones. So it's still not the fastest autofocus, and there's still some little amount of pulsing when you switch to focus. But anyway, it has really improved, and I wouldn't say that the autofocus is slow, but it's not the fastest one on the market. Now, regarding the zoom, all three smartphones handle it the same way, so it's just a crop on the image sensor. That means there is some kind of image degradation, but I'm absolutely okay with that, since the dual lens setup here works totally different than, for instance, in the iPhone 7 Plus. Alright guys, so let's talk about low light photography. As I've told you, under daylight conditions, if you have plenty of light, all those cameras are great, and you can't really see a huge difference between the Honor 8 Pro with the smaller sensor and the non-Leica branded lens and the more expensive P10 or P10 Plus. So you really have to zoom completely into the picture, then you see the details are a little bit better on the P10 and the P10 Plus, and also that the P10 and the P10 Plus has a warmer white balance, and there is no optical image stabilization on the Honor 8 Pro, so the shots, if it's shaky, then they get better stabilized on those smartphones. But except of that, there is really not a huge difference on the daylight conditions, and it's really hard to see. They both feature the same color management, white balance, a little bit of overexposure on the Honor 8 Pro, but you can bring that down in post and it's not that bad. So regarding normal light, there is not a really huge difference, or at least no €200 difference. But if it comes to low light photography, then you can definitely see a difference between those units. So I've taken several pictures with all those smartphones, and the Honor 8 Pro was always the noisiest. So there was also a difference between the P10 Plus and the P10. So the P10 Plus was less noisier under the same conditions, and it's really just a little bit. So the aperture actually doesn't help under daylight conditions to get more bokeh, but it really helps at night, so to get less noisy pictures. Pictures are still a little bit grainy, but Huawei actually called it a feature so that their pictures look like some more film look or some cinematic thing. I have no idea why, but this was kind of a strange answer to my question about the grain. Anyway, except of that, the cameras are pretty good, and in low light photography the P10 Plus definitely wins the battle. But what I also noticed is that if you have a light source in a completely dark scene and you try to take a picture of it with the P10 Plus, because of the wide aperture, there comes really a lot of light directly into the sensor, and then sometimes this looks a little bit overexposed, so you have to bring it down a bit. And also the white balance is way warm on those, so I took some pictures here from the church and it looked a little bit too yellow. It's just like on the S7 a bit, but here on the Honor 8 this looked kind of different. So now let's talk about the front-facing camera, because the difference here is actually bigger than on the rear camera in my opinion. Now the front-facing camera on the Honor 8 Pro is non-Leica branded 8 megapixels f2.0, while we have a Leica branded lens on the P10 series. It's the same on the P10 and the P10 Plus, and it comes with a 1.9 aperture and also 8 megapixels. And to be honest, I really like it more on the Huawei P10 series, because you have that auto wide-angle mode, so if two or more persons are in the frame, then it gets more wide angle. Here on the Honor 8 Pro we have a fixed lens, I think it's 84 degrees, you can check it out down below in the description. Then there is no tap focus. If you try to tap, it takes a picture. On the P10 or P10 Plus you can actually just focus on the picture, you can try to get some shots not so exposed and such things, and you can't really do that on the Honor 8 Pro. So that's basically the most difference. Dynamic range is also a little bit better on the P series, but yeah, that's regarding the front-facing camera. Front-facing camera is also less noisy in low light conditions, so that's a real bonus here on the Huawei P10 series. Now regarding capturing videos, so all those devices can record up to 4K 30 FPS. The optical image stabilization actually is just for pictures, I think, on the Huawei P series, because it doesn't help in videos at all. They are as shaky like on the Honor 8 Pro, there's no difference. If you go to Full HD or below Full HD and you turn on the software stabilizer, then it's kind of smooth, but also, you know, the picture looks not so natural anymore. So I really prefer actually just shooting in 4K and just deal with that, or just fix it in post-production. So I'm not so happy with the software stabilizer. Anyway, 4K kind of shaky on all those units, maximum is 4K 30 FPS, and there's also slow motion mode on all those smartphones, so Full HD 120 FPS or even 240 FPS in 720p. But you should actually just slow it down on the computer in post-production, because otherwise you lose a lot of detail in the footage. Then there's also something I need to tell you about 4K recording on those smartphones. It gets recorded in H.265, so that's HEVC, and it's high efficiency video codec. Now it has benefits but also problems. Benefits are it's less in file size, so you can record some really high quality footage, and people in videography, they are dealing with that codec for years, but now it came to smartphones in order to record a lot of 4K but also have more space on your smartphone. So yeah, you can record in 4K with less file size, like it's up to 50% of the file size of an iPhone clip, and that's pretty good, but you can't upload that directly to YouTube because of some licensing issues. They have their own branded codec or something like that, and they don't want to implement it. I'm not sure what's going on there, but fact is you can't upload it directly. What you can do is you can just edit it on the computer, convert it on the smartphone to H.264, whatever you want to, and there's several tutorials online. So that's the only thing you should probably be aware of, and you can't really change that in the settings. So you have really to convert that on your smartphone or in post-processing on your computer. So now let's talk about my final conclusion. I hope I did not forget anything, but well, it's really hard. So if people ask me now what smartphone should they choose, because I always forget the price. Now, you know, I got this for free. The only thing I can keep, by the way, is the P10, so I have to return those things. But anyway. So I would definitely pick the P10 Plus, but it's also the most expensive one. So there's only a slight difference in daylight conditions with the camera. So it's probably not worth the 200 euros. If you're really into low light photography, then maybe yes, there is a difference, but also I'm not so into it. For me, it's more important to get a good story than actually have the best image quality. But if you're really out there for the best image quality, it's a P10 Plus. If it's worth the 200 euros more, well, I don't think so, but I would pick it because it has an IR blaster. P10 has no IR blaster, and you know, regarding the size, as you can see, it's actually in between the P10 and the Honor 8 Pro. The Honor 8 Pro is just a little bit too big for me, but also, you know, 200 euros cheaper, 6 GB of RAM, 4 GB of RAM, same processor, not a huge difference on the rear camera, but front-facing camera on the P series definitely better. So also if you're a selfie fan, probably go for the P series. But also this one has the biggest battery, but it's also the biggest phone and has a really high resolution. So it really comes down to whatever you like, but for me it's absolutely the P10 Plus, and I think it's absolutely worth the money. So I hope this video is not too long, and I hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you have any questions, if I missed something out, I have so many things in mind, it's really hard to structure all those things because I'm also on a really stuffed time frame right now. Just leave a comment down below, I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. And maybe there's even an update video like how this phone performs in 3 months. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, please like it and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. I'm Steven from Tech Magnet, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye!